out now on Carnival and the rest of the cruise lines. Joining us now, very pleased to say, is Pete Nadaran, co-owner Market Rebellion. Thank you so much for joining me, Pete. So what were your takeaways from what we got from Carnival today? I mean, it seems like smooth sailing, but not so much for the stock today.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think it's because of the fact that it's performed so well. If you look over the last couple of years, obviously going back to the pandemic itself, but even if you just look at the year to date, it's up 23%. It's up 64% over the last year. So this is a stock that needed to have something big, and they did. They beat on the earnings, they beat on the revenue, they forecast a beat as well. So all of that is sort of packaged together. Now you ask, well, why isn't the stock up a little bit higher? Why isn't it up a couple of percent? It did start up there. It hit 32. It started to pull back a little bit. And I think part of the reason because of that is they're worried about shutdowns. They're worried about tariffs. They're worried about all kinds of things. They're not worried about their own demand, but there is the outside part of this that really could sort of maybe hold back Carnival to some degree. And I think that's what the concern is right now.
Okay, yes, I suppose you're talking about the consumer and whether they sort of pull back on some of the discretionary spending. But for now,
right.
I mean, things look pretty good. And, you know, when you listen to the cruise lines versus the airlines, I mean, people are booking so far in advance to really secure their holidays, you know, next year, the year after, which no doubt they're benefiting from. Talk to us about the sort of, you know, where it sits in the grand scheme of things. It's underperformed Royal Caribbean, but outperformed Norwegian. What's it doing to find itself sort of smack bang in the middle there?
Well, what I think is a positive for them is just the fact that there is that demand, and they have all these specialty things that they're adding to what people can do in terms of how do they get onto the boat and then get to the next destination. And that's what people are very excited to do, and people are willing to spend that money. I think the spend side of things has been surprising to a lot of us, is just how much people are willing to go out, whether it's out into the future or not. But they want to be able to have that experience, and people are willing to pay for it right now. You know, you do have to wonder. You look at credit card debt, you look at all these other things. Are people just putting more and more on there? Probably yes is the answer, but they're willing to take that risk right now, and I think that's obviously something that's very good for Carnival. It's good for the entire industry. And the one other issue is they've got huge amounts of debt, of course. That is what this whole business has in terms of the build outs, but they're excited about building out even more. And so because of that, I think you've got to be pretty positive on this one. It only trades at a PE of about 13 or 14. So when you're looking for something that makes a lot of money, but at the same time trades at a level where it is right now, I think this is probably a great opportunity.
Okay. Look, you mentioned some of the other sort of news that investors are watching right now, which no doubt feeds into the health of the consumer, which impacts companies like these. I'm just wondering what your overall sort of takeaway is right now with respect to, you know, the jobs picture. Obviously, we're going to be getting a lot of data this week. What the government shutdown is going to mean also for the markets too. And then, you know, this whole sort of wait and see on tariffs and the Fed.
Yeah, that certainly is the focus. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But it's the focus. But what I like, and I heard Alex talking about this a little bit before me, but I think that the key to this whole thing within the market is we have had this total move from one to the next to the next. And what do I mean by that? The rotation. It goes from technology, it goes to materials, it goes to, you know, all kinds of different parts of the market, whether it's energy or financials. But this rotation has been very, very healthy. It's not just one part of the market, one sector that's moving the market. People a lot of the time will point to technology, and certainly that's been great, but we've also had great moves out of the financials, great moves out of energy. Across the board, we are seeing this rotation. I love seeing what we're seeing right now. We do have a very, very tight range in terms of the volatility index right now, trading somewhere between, call it 15 and 16, and not too much higher. Every once in a while it does. It fades right back down, gets a little bit lower, starts to move back up. So we're sort of stuck right there right now. I think that's something that's become more and more interesting. By the way, the volatility index itself, we've seen some monstrous buying of upside calls in the VIX going out to November and going out to December. So when I see that, it tells me that there's at least a little bit of nervousness out there that maybe we could get a spike. Now, the calls that they're buying, they bought 60,000. It's a call spread, a $9 call spread. They only paid $2.50 for it. It was November 16s against the November 25s, but they're going out to November. So do they think it's going to happen right now? If they did, they'd be a lot closer, but that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at some point between now and maybe November, maybe it's December, that we might see a little bit of a pickup in that volatility index.
Okay, but for now, I mean, September has very much defied the sort of seasonal weakness. I wonder what October will bring. Pete, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here, getting us across Carnival, and also your thoughts on the overall market today. Pete Najarian, co-owner Market Rebellion.